Hi, I'm Dennis.
And I'm Kelley. We actually met, of all places, on a bar stool in Las Vegas.
We did.
We were there individually on separate separate work functions. And I thought, well, maybe I'll just, grab a drink and take in the sights. I wasn't planning on conversing with anyone. But then I peer over to the bar stool next to this older gentleman, and there is Dennis sitting. And so then the three of us are all talking together, and we're having a great time and sharing about our lives. And I am starting to share that I have two boys. And then Dennis, he says, I have two boys as well. So that just, ignited the conversation even more. We were talking all night. And, we haven't stopped talking ever since.
And it was June 22nd is when we met. And we ended up getting engaged, went to Paris, France. And we got engaged in November.
And we went back to Las Vegas and got married on New Year's Eve.
Yeah.
So I live here in Carmel, Indiana.
Yeah, and I live in Ottawa, Canada. We heard too many horror stories of people couples who were trying to go through the immigration process. Not only is there time involved having to complete the paperwork and navigating the paperwork itself, but there's also the cost associated to it. And we heard stories of couples who submitted their paperwork, and if you have one or two errors in there, you won't find out if you have errors till a year later. And if they reject your paperwork, you have to start all over again and have to submit those fees. So we just wanted to ensure that we were doing this right. And we were looking on the internet for different companies or different lawyers to be able to assist us. And the immigration for couples were local. And we just heard and seen some great reviews about them. Mm-hmm. Applying for the petition, I would say, was a little hectic because we had to get the letters from family members that recognized our relationship, and we need to identify each time you enter the U.S. since you've been born. Well, I've had different positions that I've worked in the U.S. and traveled to the U.S. Over my career, so there was no way that I could remember any of that. And
plus childhood trips. Yeah.
But immigration for couples were able to assist and said, there was a form that they could submit on my behalf to be able to gather all that information.
I would say after that, it's been a little bit more hands-off from our end, because I know the team at Immigrations for Couples has been really facilitating the rest of the paperwork and notifying us as need be. And I know that we're expected to have our, strategizing session with the team probably in December.
Yep.
For what will be the interview that Dennis will have to conduct.
Yeah.
So for anyone that is considering doing the immigration process, something that I would really advise is understanding the timelines, because it is not something that is instantaneously going to happen. And you want to be prepared for that. So wherever you are in your relationship, in your life at that moment, if you have family to consider, you need to just have that awareness.
It's just such a long process. And, being away from each other is not easy when you know that one person is living outside the country, and visiting every couple of weeks is great, but it's not like being here.
So maintaining a connection is very, very important for Dennis and myself. And when we aren't together, we are texting, WhatsApp, FaceTiming throughout the day, morning till we go to bed. But also something that we did that was really special to bring our families and our boys together is we went on a family trip to Disney World. And so our kids got to interact with each other, and we got to go on a family vacation, and that was really special. But when we're together, it's time goes by really fast. And then unfortunately, one of us has to go back to our respective countries.
Yeah.
And so when we are together, we value the time that we're spending so much more. And then I would also advise that this is an investment, but when you're utilizing the services that Immigration for Couples offers you, but it's also to protect you and safeguard you through this journey. And so for us, we have a lot of peace of mind knowing that when we started things at this date and how we are tracking to lead up to Dennis being able to live here in the US, that's a really good feeling to have.